Okay guys, Samsung Galaxy S5. This is going to be a quick little video on my initial thoughts of this device. And I'll start off by saying that Samsung needs to do a lot to win me back over. They sort of lost me with the S4. It was such a nominal upgrade to the S3, and actually in some ways a step backwards in terms of keeping the same, almost the same identical looking design, with very, very few improvements over anything, and actually probably introducing more lag and more useless features that people don't need. So I kind of lost touch with Samsung after that, and they've, honestly, I think they've won me back a little bit here with the design on the S5. I like the fit and the finish. I like how this back plastic dimply cover, even though some people call it the Galaxy S5 Band-Aid with the gold color. I like how this feels. I think it's a little bit grippy. It just fits nice in your hand. It feels nice in your hand. I like picking it up. I like holding it. I think it's a great combination of thinness as well as heft. It's not too heavy. It's not too light. Doesn't really feel, it still feels plasticky, and this chrome, this fake chrome trim, looks like an old diner, edge of a diner table. But it's still okay. It's still a decent looking phone. It's still, it still has a nice sort of aspect to it. I don't like the fact that there's a logo here, and a logo here, and a logo here, but what are you going to do about that? So all in all, in terms of the overall aesthetic of the phone, no, it's not as nice as an iPhone. No, it's not as nice as an HTC One, and arguably it's not even as nice as a Nexus 5. But it's classic Samsung. It's classic plastic and classic sort of Galaxy look and feel to it. Getting into the display and sort of the things that they've changed about this phone. It's a big screen. It's a 5.1 inch screen, full HD, 1920 by 1080. They haven't added any more pixels since the S4. They've just made it bigger, which I sort of disagree with. I think that we need to sort of have a trend in the other direction. I like what Motorola is doing with their 4.7 inch screens. I actually prefer a 4.7 inch screen over this 5.1 inch screen. For me, this is a little bit too big for my hands. I like a little bit smaller, again, 4.7. They've added a fingerprint reader here, which works surprisingly well. I think that is it perfect? No. Does it compare to the accuracy of Apple's Touch ID? Yes. I think that all in all, every time I try and use it, it pretty much works almost every time. If I don't, let's see if I can do it here without touching the screen. Let's see. Oh, it's not locked. That would be why. So let me just try this again. I think I have it set to 15 seconds or something like that before it will lock again. But getting away from that, they've also changed the button layout here. There's a soft key for recent apps, as well as a soft key for back button. And the back button has always been there. They've basically replaced the menu button with a soft key for recent apps, which I don't know if I understand why they did this. I think that most people aren't going to use a recent app button. I think that this shows how Android is evolving and changing. The Nexus and the HTC One both don't have any hard buttons or built-in soft buttons, and I think Samsung is trying to figure out what exactly they're trying to do here with their button layout and how it can best fit the need of Android. So here's that swipe again, right? So boom, it's nice and fast. The one downside to that is you do have to use two hands because the phone is too awkward to hold with one hand. Anyway, jumping into the screen, like I said, 5.1 inch display, full 1080p resolution, stunning display, very, very similar to all the other AMOLED, Super AMOLED screens you've seen. Really, really nice colors, really saturated. I prefer sort of an iPhone display or an HTC One display over this. I think this is a little bit too cartoony, too punchy, too saturated for me. But again, that's just my opinion. In general, it is a really, really nice display. Getting into some of the software, I think that this is probably one of the weakest points that Samsung offers right now. There's just so much bloat on this phone from both AT&T and from Samsung that it drives me insane. And I'll talk more about that in my full review. But for now, just an example, I don't need AT&T Family Map. I don't need AT&T Locker. I don't need AT&T Mobile Locate. I don't need all these S things either. I don't need S Health. I don't need, all these other things in here like S, where is it? Where did it go? It's on my home screen. S Geo News, there's S Health again. ISIS Wallet. I don't know what that even is. Samsung also has included this basically copy from HTC with their Blink feed. So this is Samsung's copy version of Blink feed. And Samsung has also copied Apple with their sort of folder design and animation speed like that. That's very similar to iOS 7. And they've copied Apple with their sort of flat icon layout here too. So I think that, in general, the software for the new TouchWiz interface is new TouchWiz skin is an improvement. I like how it looks. I mean, there's a reason they copy Apple, is because Apple does things pretty well. And so I do like this new version of TouchWiz, but it has so many useless things that I don't have any interest in having. All this AT&T stuff, which I'm sure Verizon has their fair share of it too, as well as all their Samsung S things that are included. So for me, maybe what I need is a Google Play edition of the S5, which as of April 2014 is not out yet. So maybe when that happens, that'll be the phone I'll be more interested in. But getting away from the software, they've added a 16 megapixel rear camera to this phone, which so far in my initial testing looks pretty good. It's in line with the other generations of Galaxy. The Galaxy has always been a really good camera for a cell phone, and so they've sort of kept that same mentality here with the S5. No sense of lag in the phone. I think finally maybe we're at a point where Android has no lag anywhere with these new generations of phones. I'm sure KitKat has a lot to do with that as well. But, all in all, this is a good phone. Samsung sort of won me back here with this design, the software, I guess the speed of the software, not necessarily the bloat of the software, but, I like it. I like how it feels. I like picking it up. I like unlocking it with my fingerprint. I think it works great. I like being able to get in and look at this big, bright, beautiful display. So, all in all, I'm pretty pleased with this phone. I haven't had a chance to really test the battery yet, so I don't know how the battery life stands out, but I'm looking forward to using this more over the next few days and giving you guys my full review here. So don't forget to check out my other videos on YouTube and rate, comment, and subscribe, guys. Thanks.